Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another day of Overwatch League action. I am Ilios, joined by Wolf, and oh boy, do we have an exciting day of games here for you today. Starting things off, it's going to be the Paris Eternal going up against the Philadelphia Fusion, and this one's looking to be a pretty promising series, a clash of titanic forces.
This is going to be the best series of the day, potentially the weekend, especially with what we saw yesterday in the Asia region, which was not a whole lot of games, just 6 maps of one-sided stomping.
Yes.
That's not going to happen in our matches today, I don't think, for all 3 of them. We do, of course, later on have what a lot of people have been calling the Toilet Bowl match, the rematch between Boston and Houston, which went the distance last time.
Yeah.
Not the most high-level game, but hopefully it'll be better this time. And then later on we have, of course, the Fuel coming off of their recent win, facing against the Washington Justice.
Yeah, we saw some of the cat predictions going on there, as well as the analyst predictions. Johnny going with the Boston Uprising, a bit bold for that second series. But going back to the start of our day here with Philly versus the Paris Eternal, obviously one of the biggest names, the biggest name on the Philadelphia Fusion since that team has come together is Carpe. And this guy has just been dominating throughout his entire career in the Overwatch League, and he is leading in numerous metrics.
That's right. He's actually right now just 74 final blows, or rather eliminations, away from hitting 4,000 eliminations. So he's leading in that regard. He'll be the first player to hit 4,000. He's also 4 solo kills away from hitting 600, and he's just 1 step ahead of Soon in that final blow regard. So he's actually leading the charge in that metric against his opponent here in Soon. So pretty sick matchup that we have coming between these two up, assuming Soon sees play. And, well, we already kind of spoiled that, didn't we?
They covered that on...
Were already...
Yeah,
they already released.
They covered it on the desk, so it's no big deal. But let's go ahead and take a look first at the Philadelphia Fusion starting 6. Of course, Carpe is going to be there, so it seems like it's really just a matter of time between these next 2 to 3 matches when he can actually get that 4K figure achieved. But the usual suspects kind of lining up beside him. We're going to have Ivy as well in the DPS lineup, Sato, Fury for the tanks, and then Alarm and Funny Astro in support.
That's right. Ivy starting over Hisu here. Not a huge surprise because Mei is available again. Yeah. And Ivy is the Mei specialist for this squad. So, Ikuyo is actually a good Mei as well, but Ivy is kind of one of those players who's really does specialize in the hero. So I think that's part of the reason why we're going to see him here. And it does lead towards this mostly Korean roster that we have 5 Koreans. So a little bit easier to communicate as well. Yeah.
Over on the other side, though, speaking of communication, we, of course, have the mixed roster of the Paris Eternal, who, have been very much on the back of Exi for a lot of their wins. But as we saw on the post-show, as we had already teed up, Soon will be starting here over Exi, despite the fact that the McCree is back in the lineup. So perhaps we're not going to be seeing as much McCree from them, at least at the start of the series. Obviously, always the chance that Exi will be joining us later on. But DPS lineup going to be Soon and Nico, followed up by Ben Best, Hanbin, Gray, and then FD God.
Yeah, so we don't see Exi, I think, because these 2 players, Soon and Nico, a lot more flexible in terms of projectile. We might have Hanzo and Mei together. So I think that's the main reason why. Nico's a really good Mei player right now. I think very, very underrated. I don't think enough people are talking about how good his Mei is. Soon can play the McCree, also can play Hanzo very well. I think, Exi's not a terrible Hanzo by any means, but I really do like having Soon in this starting lineup over Exi. I know that sounds crazy, but I think if he ends up performing poorly or struggling, they can always sub him back in. So I like this for Control.
Yeah, well, we'll see how Control goes. And we'll also see where we're starting things off as we take a look at our map set. And it will, in fact, be Ilios to start this series off. So we'll see just who will be able to take that first step, get that first map victory locked down, and start the series off on a high note.
Indeed. We're headed straight into Ilios, as you mentioned.
It's going to be well.
For our first map. Well, indeed. And we've seen a lot of double shields so far in our 2 matches we've had this weekend. A lot of teams have been scrimming that and running that, obviously, with the bans that we have this week. No Diva, making it even easier to run the double shield. Not a lot of ways to dive that and get behind it. So we'll see how these two teams shake up here. Mostly excited about what Soon will be playing. I think that's the biggest question mark here is, will he play any hit scan or just go to something like a Hangzhou?
Well, for now, it's just going to be that Symmetra to start to get the teleporter out. Carpe showing us the McCree, and looking like Ivy's just going to be on that Mei as anticipated. Like he said, going to be the Mei specialist for the side of the Philadelphia Fusion. So gates will open. Teleporter comes down here, and they will jump forward, and it's going to be the Torbjorn actually for Soon.
Torbjorn, interesting. I thought perhaps it was going to be a Tracer too, potentially, but it will be the Torb. And that's very strong on this map of well, if he can get into position.
Working their way forward, huge everybody piled in, behind that barrier. Firestrike goes through. Dorado and Ben Best, however, still going to be very close as far as the ult charge for these Reinhardts is concerned. Carpe trying to get a nice little flank angle, playing back behind the well, taking those shots. Immortality field from Alarm going to fall, and that's going to be Sato taken down first and foremost. Soon will get picked off by Funny Astro in the end, but it's at the cost of now 4 members of the Philadelphia Fusion. So fight very much going the way of the Paris Eternal, so they will get the first lockdown of well.
Yeah, Paris is going to play a much more balled up, more death ball-esque composition. Carpe tries to flank, but can't really get great shots in between the wall and the barriers there that Paris Eternal have up. So he does his usual Carpe flanking style, but doesn't get much value.
Does not, but now the reapproach coming in for the Philadelphia Fusion. Immortality field already going to be used as we do see that Ant Matrix come through from Gray. Maywall as well helps mitigate a lot of that damage that otherwise could have led to somebody getting picked off. They will find the turret on the approach, and this is a very slow building Molten Core for Soon, only at 48%. Starts picking up some extra percentage as they take the fight to the Philly Fusion, getting right up in their face. Immortality field now gone. Shatter comes down solo over onto Nico, who will get picked off by Ivy, but now Sato gonna fall as they did go for the mutual pin. Both Ryans hit the ground, but Ben Best is the only one standing, and Soon gets the shots in onto Carpe, finding that elimination, and FDCon sends Funny Astro off the side of the map or into the well. So we'll just be a nice hold here for Paris Eternal now at 50%.
Yeah, there's a lot of healing on the side of Paris Eternal, even in Mei's self-healing, and you have this composition that's very difficult to break through with hit scan. They didn't even have to use Molten Core. They didn't have to use the sound barrier. They've got both available here for this fight. This should be 99, worst case scenario for Paris.
Yeah, already looking quite good for them. Plethora of ultimates to use for the Paris Eternal. We'll hear that supercharger dropped in by Fury. Powering the team. Molten Core now going to be coming through soon. Slapping that lava down, and the Deadeye will be rolling from Carpe. Everybody just going to be in behind the shields. Now they pop the sound barrier and start working their way out of this cubby. The Philadelphia Fusion, however, unable to get to the point. Now Carpe going to get picked off by Hanbin of all people. Turret still tracking people.
Man, and getting punished.
Yeah, Ivy trying to wrap around the backside. Does have that Blizzard ready to go. Lobs it in. Doesn't have to worry about any kind of diva action here because we had banned that one away. So they get the freeze onto Soon. They send him into the pit. FD God, however, as well going to be going off the side of the map. So a fighting chance now for the Philadelphia Fusion, but they lose out on Sato, so that's one less shield to pile in behind. They still have the barrier from Fury. Boot forward there onto Hanbin, sends him right into their line of fire, and they manage to find the kill. Ben Best falling on the back end. So Philly Fusion looking to get on the board. Paris Eternal still playing up here. Delay for a little bit longer, but we'll just peel back and surrender the point.
They traded so many ultimates favorably, though, and were able to get Nico's Blizzard. And if he had actually, if he had been in position to use it, they might have been able to just right out win 100-0. But they've got Ben Best and Hanbin's ultimates back up now here shortly as well. And this is a really strong push now for Paris Eternal that Fusion are going to have to struggle to defend.
Soon up on the high ground, getting chased there by Funny Astro for the moment, so does peel back the rest of the team. Halt together, Fire Strike is good. As they do get a significant amount of damage through, and they build up that charge for the Earth Shadow for Sato. He's going to be frozen, Immortality Field keeping alive for the moment, as is that sound barrier, but the shields are expiring very quickly. Soon finds the kill on the carpet. Didn't even see that melee hit come out. It's that perfect on the recall. Dragged together with that Holt, looking for some kills. Manages to find one, but the pin from Ben Best is good on the flank. Gets rid of Alarm, and it's looking like Paris Eternal might just have this flipped right back into their favor. Ivy sent right into the pit as soon as he comes out of the ice block. They have since swapped over onto the Wrecking Ball. They have to get to the point. Carpe going to be the first one to touch. Wrecking Ball rolls through there for the moment, but now he's going to be blocked off. He cannot get through. Carpe tags yet again to try and elongate the fight. Pulse Bomb goes out. Gets the Immortality Field away from the Philadelphia Fusion, but they are losing on every front right now. Soon finds another melee kill onto Carpe, taking him down. And it looks like this is Paris's map to lose, completely in control. And even if Fusion can get this flip, it's still at 52% for them, so it's still a very long way that they would have to fight. They continue to get tags in as Sato nearly pile drives his way into the pit, but will still fall all the same. And now it's just going to be a finish off here on the Mei to go ahead and try to end the round. The Carpe is back in with this Tracer. Finds a pulse bomb on an FD God. They're looking for a little bit more, but the supports for the Philly Fusion are taking a battering right now. As Funny Astro nearly falls down. They get zoned off the point long enough, and Paris Eternal can finally claim the first round of Ilios.
Yeah, we have to rewind really far back to talk about how the retake happened, because there was a lot of delay there, but nice attempt on the side of Philadelphia Fusion. Alarm has the Immortality Field perfectly placed as soon as Nico drops down the Blizzard, so keeps everybody alive. Funny Astro's there to clean up with the sound barrier, but Paris Eternal again have this composition that's very sticky, and then the Tracer v Tracer war. Soon is actually able to get the better of Carpe, because Carpe's movement is often very predictable on these heroes, whether it's the McCree where he's flanking, the Widow he's flanking, or in this case the Tracer. Soon just knows where he's going to be, zooms in there, gets the full clip melee kill, and that helps seal the deal. The delay was there from Philly. They tried to hold on to the point, and with this meta you see a lot of that delay, but Paris stays strong.
Oh boy.
And same comp here for Paris. Carpe's going to try the Widow.
And already finding some success. Spenfest peeks out from behind the pillar, takes that shot to the dome, and will fall. So this is a significantly better start for the Philadelphia Fusion, as Carpe will find a second kill. See FD God trying to get up on top of him. Carpe looking for that shot. Can't quite nail it, but it's all right. Fury has his back. So first point locked down here for Ruins goes the way of Philly.
Yeah, FD God, looks kind of silly if you don't think about why he did that, but he just wanted to die as soon as possible and also just get back and speed boost the rest of his team there. Running back would have taken longer. If he had taken Carpe out, it would have been cool, but
would have been a very flashy play there for him. Carpe playing up with the rest of his squad. The shield not raised for Ben Best, but the Immortality Field invested to try to keep him alive. Ben Best still going to be frozen. Raises the shield to try to stay up, and the Fire Strike isn't enough to finish him off. Hanbin, in the meantime, is going to be able to find 2 kills. So they do trade that one back, and Carpe, yep, gets halted out of the grapple. Fantastically done. Hanbin popping off a bit here on the latter side of that fight. Now just going to be Funny Astro trying to delay as best as he can, but it won't be for long. So 38% is all that Fusion get. They have a couple ultimates here on the approach, but they have to fight through nearly a Blizzard and that sound barrier that Paris Eternal are about to have.
And Carpe doesn't have, he's going to have a really hard time getting through these shields. He takes out the turret, he can do that much, and he can, of course, ult his way into extra vision and try to get a pick on the flank, but otherwise he's going to be in tough shape here to find damage. Just not a whole lot he can do. He's looking for FD God.
Oh, gets that body tag onto him. Immortality Field will come through. Sound barrier now going to be dropped. Sato, the first one to fall, soon finds the kill as he gets closer to that molten core. Ivy will manage to take down Nico. Now he gets Soon. So they completely break down the DPS duo. Now get rid of the Lucio. Just 2 tanks and a Baptiste to try and hold this point. Paris Eternal are currently in the lead with 41%, but Philadelphia Fusion still have 6 men over here fighting to try and retake this with Carpe up on the high ground and unopposed for the moment. Gets the headshot onto Gray. The Fire Strike from Sato will get Ben Best. Here comes FD God yet again. Will manage to get rid of Carpe this time around, but it's not doing much for the rest of his squad, who continue to get picked off one after the other.
Yeah, he can't really delay much further. Impressive to see the Carpe kill there. But yeah, as you say, inconsequential at the end of the day. Nice ice wall here. Almost gets them a staggered kill. But Paris Eternal, they took a lead in percentage. Soon's actually going to match Carpe on the Widow, which I didn't expect to see, but I always love to see it when we get to see this duel.
Yep,
only a few times a year.
I'm very happy about it. Will not complain. Right back is going to be coming through, but oh man, Philadelphia Fusion are just getting completely run over. They cannot backpedal fast enough to get away from the wrath of the Paris Eternal. They completely swallow them up.
Yeah, they overextended there, got caught. Soon comes out here. He didn't really do a whole lot, but now he has sightline advantage. Checks for the flanking Carpe there on respawn, as he knows that's where Carpe likes to go. Now he's just going to set up, play safe here, and they're going to try to play around this Blizzard of Ivy and then get their own follow-up Blizzard. That's their best chance of closing this out 2-0. Sound barrier is very close here as well as Alarm drops down that window. Very well dodged here by Paris, and it looks like Philly just going to play patient.
Yeah, it's going to end up being another 99%er here for Paris. Oh, Carpe looking for the shot, but Soon finds him. Love to see that one from Soon's perspective, perhaps. FD got for the moment, though. Looking to build up that sound barrier. Drops it immediately upon receiving it. Shatter's going to be dropped in, but doesn't find any members of the Paris Eternal. Sound barrier matched for Funny Astro. Sato frozen for the moment, but the kills finally coming through for the Philadelphia Fusion. As soon as Ben Best will both fall now. FD God and Hanbin going to be joining them. This will just be the cleanup. Gray, the only one retreating with his life intact as the flip will come in. 99% built up for Paris Eternal. 68 now for the Philly Fusion. But very few ultimates to work with. They're about to have walls. They're about to have a supercharger, but there's a supercharger in a blizzard there for Paris.
Nico has his Blizzard ready to go. He finished charging that up, and they just fought for 99 and fought to force ultimates. They were successful in both regards. Soon gets Vision, which isn't going to give him a great shot, but it's going to help Paris Eternal approach a lot easier.
Got that body shot there onto Carpe. He's going to be matching with walls of his own now as they search for each other. Superchargers out for both of these Orisas as well. Blizzard's lobbed in. Now going to be looking for some kills. Carpe gets a headshot onto Soon. Now he's looking for more. Blizzard zoning him back, slowing him up, so can't quite get into position, but it's 99 to 99. The charge nearly connecting with Carpe after Ben Best takes down Sato. FD God is again into the back lines, trying to deal with this Widowmaker all on his lonesome, but he cannot get the kills. Carpe gets the better of him this time around, then follows up for a final kill onto Soon to close out this second round. Seems like everything going to have to be decided on Lighthouse because we are 1-1.
1-1, you know, very much a, I'd say, round-specific little mini-meta we saw there with the Widowmakers coming out. Carpe finding some success, finding some control, forcing Soon to match. Ended up being pretty exciting to watch. On the other side of things, Paris Eternal really struggled to close the gap there with their regular ground-based, you know, Mei-based composition. And a lot of those fights, even when they had that extra vision, you could see from Nico's perspective, he was trying to get in there and lob a great Blizzard. He only ends up really hitting Fury, and Ivy. Fury can just, you know, walk away with his Fortify. Philadelphia Fusion end up winning that tank exchange. Great plays so far from both Reinhardts in this series, though, and Sideshow's Sato redemption story that continues to be a little bit true here. This is anyone's first map to take.
I just got the word that Carpe has, in fact, hit 600 solo kills, the first person in the league to do so, but Soon is fighting to get that, get to that figure as well. Started off 86 kills behind Carpe before this series began, and is still going to be in second place in the league. We'll see how long it takes him to catch up, but congratulations to Carpe on reaching that number. But for now, Paris Eternal, this is exactly what they wanted to get the first lockdown of the point. Now they can stick with this composition. If this had failed, this would have been a total swap-up.
Exactly. Carpe gets spotted super early, so he dies first with a body shot from Nico, who's halfway to a Blizzard. And this comp is so strong on the point, they can just rotate back onto it with their double shields. And Carpe, again, struggling to find damage right now. He needs to get a flank angle, but there's just not a whole lot he can do until they actually start to touch this point.
Altogether, the Fire Strike is good. See that setup, made famous by the Atlanta Rain, ends up netting them the point. And now, even though Soon's at 68%, can kind of expect that he's going to be swapping off of the Symmetra. For now, is taking his time with it, so maybe they still try to run this since they have a Mei ult on the way. Perhaps they think that they can win the fight and retake the point. We will have to wait and see.
It's going to be tough to find value with this photon barrier, just simply because of the positioning here of the Fusion. And now Carpe has the ability to do so much damage at range, so much poke, so much shield break even. And they've got this choke to work around as well with the Earth Shatter. Teleport onto the point, though. Nice wall.
Yeah, very nicely. The wall comes up. That's going to be Sato frozen. Immortality Field keeps him alive for a little bit longer, but they end up killing that one off with a Fire Strike. That will be the cleanup. A fantastic retake for the Paris Eternal. Fusion don't even get the lead, so right here, 30% now to 38. Paris continue to tick up.
That doesn't work without an incredible wall from Nico. Oh, unfortunately, Hanbin doesn't get up there, but he can stay on the low ground. Carpe going to do Carpe things here. I hope he doesn't get seen. That's kind of Carpe's whole career right there, but hopefully he'll find something. Just going to head back to the rest of the squad, it looks like. But yeah, really nice wall from Nico there with the teleport. Walls up here to block the damage.
Yeah, Mei wall just to mitigate, making sure that Ant Matrix gets absolutely no value, so just going to be a free ult burned for a 20-second cooldown. Photon barrier, oh, straight in front. But, oh, what is Nico doing? He runs right up in front of his face, and Carpe says, well, thank you very much. Pops the Deadeye, gets the kill. sound barrier, and not enough to try to keep him alive. Now Soon going to get picked off as well, and this is just a total misplay from the Paris Eternals, starting with Nico. It all unravels from there. Not going to be able to force the 99% this time around. 85 is as good as it gets. Philadelphia Fusion in control.
He might have thought he could have gotten the freeze there, but Carpe just spins and instantly blows him up. I mean, he had the supercharger there as well from Fury at the end, so it charged up real quick. But yeah, I think that's a pretty big misplay. I mean, you're really trying to thread the needle with that.
I mean, I get it. That work. Slow-moving cowboy, you've got a right click that can just kill him, but it's just way too risky when that has been channeling for so long, and they have that supercharger coming through. Maywall goes up. I think that Ivy might have actually just blocked Sato's own shatter. So Paris Eternal, they push forward straight onto the point. They manage to get the flip back into their favor, but Hanmin going to be taken down by Ivy, and now Benbest will fall, so there's no tanks here for Paris as they still fight to try and maintain control. Nico around the side, just going to get barreled over there by Sato, so flip straight back into Fusion's hands, but Paris do get to that 99%.
Yeah, this is going to be probably the fight that decides the map here. FD God not having sound barrier is actually a pretty big deal because he won't be able to have it for this initial approach, and they're only going to get about 1.5 fights, one real fight and then a second, kind of delay stagger fight. So Fusion actually gets to dictate how the pace of this fight goes. Soon going to look for the backdoor here to threaten them off the high ground. They have to jump down.
Yeah, pulls them away. Maywall not really cutting anybody off. Soon it's too risky for him to try to get into a position there to actually pick someone off. Fire strike through is decent from Benbest. He's got that chatter. They have the Blizzard. Ivy has one to match. He's going to pull the trigger first. Nico tosses that one out. Shatter going to be dropped in onto Carpe, trying to solo kill him. Gets flashbanged. Benbest now under fire. Immortality Field has to come down onto him alone, trying to keep him alive, and it has worked a treat. The kills are in, the 99% to 99, but OT ticking away, and no one is able to get to the point for the Philly Fusion. So Paris Eternal able to take Ilios in the end, but boy, was it a pretty close map.
Very close, about as close as it gets, Ilios. Really nice plays there in the end from Benbest, actually. Coming over there, getting that solo attempt onto Carpe, blocking him out there. Nearly goes down, but he actually zones out a lot of that really important damage. Really cool stuff we saw from Paris there overall, with using the Symmetra to get that teleport onto the point, running the Torbjorn against a non-tracer composition. Pretty interesting to see. I like to see that kind of variety, that kind of mix-up going into a matchup like this. Soon looked really on form, on point, especially when he was playing even the hit scan heroes, the Widowmaker. He looked very good, so a sign that we might not be seeing Xe forever and ever, and that Paris actually has a little bit more variety they can bring into the roster. Yeah, well, so far so good. I mean, Carpe, still congratulations on hitting that 600 final blow, or solo kill figure, but I think he would have been maybe a little bit happier had they gotten that first map. So now going to be on the back foot. Philadelphia Fusion have to come back in for map number 2 to try and tie us up. Otherwise, Paris Eternal looking like they might be able to just move to match point if they can just go ahead and claim that for themselves. We're going to find out what happens when we come back from the break, so stay tuned, guys. We'll see you in just a few.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Pringles Wavy. Big crunch, big flavor. And by Zip Chair Game, the official chair supplier of the Overwatch League. Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
Welcome Back, ladies and gentlemen. Map 1 out of the way in this series between the Philadelphia Fusion and the Paris Eternal. The latter able to claim that first map of Ilios. Very close back and forth throughout that entire thing, ending with 100 to 99% on Lighthouse in the third round. But Paris able to edge out ahead of their opponents, and that's a very good start for them in this series.
Yeah, I talked a little bit about Soon having a great start, but I also wanted to highlight FD God's great plays throughout all 3 rounds. At the very end, he actually helped Hanbin get that halt off the side, which was massive, so they could actually get those kills there to help secure that zone where Ben Best was able to push Carpe in the first place. FD God's positioning around threatening environmental kills, insanely good. His positioning against Carpe's Widow as well. Carpe was always looking for him, but really struggling to find that. Very impressive to see, so just want to give FD God a shout-out again.
Very well deserved. I mean, pretty much everybody on the side of the Paris Eternal playing phenomenally. Hanbin having some moments as well on the Orisa, where he was really shining. So a very solid start and a good foot forward for the Paris Eternal, but we'll see if that is going to stay with them as they move forward into map number 2, which is, of course, going to be Hollywood for our hybrid map. But Philadelphia Fusion, they're going to be hungry for a victory here. They do not want to fall. They only have 1 loss so far here in the 2020 season. So they want to advance to that 7-1 figure for themselves. And Hollywood, another one of those maps, especially when we get to the Streets phase, where the Widowmaker could potentially come out for both Carpe and Soon.
Yeah, definitely a really fun map in this meta, in my opinion, because you see a lot of Sigma Orisa here. You see a lot of McCree. You can see the Widowmaker. There's a lot of variety. Hanzo even has a place, I'd say, in the Streets phase.
Yeah.
And when you have no Sombra, because Sombra is, of course, not in the pool this week, you eliminate that fear factor of the hacks, of the EMP fights you could take on B, of that high-low ground control that she can offer. No Diva either, so how you decide to position...
You're welcome for that.
There you go. How you decide to position is it's difficult to break, so you kind of get to, as a defender on this map, make your stance and kind of hold it, and you're not having to worry about low and high ground and kind of tricky flanks and stuff like that as much. So it kind of becomes a very sightline-oriented Streets phase. And with these 2 Widowmaker players, hope we get to see that a little bit.
Well, Carpe
we already
for
did
now.
A little bit on,
Yeah.
A little bit earlier, but yeah, Carpe on the Hanzo, as you're saying.
It will be that. Paris Eternal seeming like they still want to be running this Torbjorn on the attack. We'll see how Soon fares or whether or not he's going to swap things up once they see that Carpe is on that Hanzo. For now, though, just going to be sitting double barrier up on the high ground, poking out onto the members of the Paris Eternal as they do try to advance. The Hulk comes through, but of course no fire strike for them. So not going to be getting that big, meaty damage on the Reinhardt.
Yeah, the shield break is really good for the Philadelphia Fusion, so it's tough for Paris to actually go through the main entrance. As you can see, they're kind of struggling, have to speed boost their way around and use the wall, the May wall. So that's going to be on cooldown.
Yeah, Carpe just going to be taking some pot shots here into that stairwell. Gets a couple tags, but it's only going to be at 45% towards that Dragon Strike. Drop down now onto the point. Turret going to fall, Immortality Field taken out. Carpe manages to find 1, but it's going to be a trade-off on the supports here, as we will lose a Baptiste as well as a Lucio for the Paris Eternal, but now Hanbin manages to find Ivy. That's a lot of their staying power for the Philly Fusion gone. Already a tick, ready to be given up. Maywall to boost them up onto the high ground. Benbest just swinging away, but he's overstepped. They do have that Amp Matrix out, however. That's enough to zone them back as Fury is on the backside of the point and has realistically nowhere to run. Still taking a little bit of damage, but without Benbest, they will have to go ahead and just wall him off rather than be able to push up against the rest of the Philadelphia Fusion. So they can inevitably get that kill here onto the Sigma.
Nico, one of the smartest Mays I think we have in the Overwatch League right now, from how they got to the point to how he boosted them up. The way he fights Ivy in the May v May, even when Ivy is ice blocked, how he just constantly checks to see if he's going to de-ice block with his left click there to set up a freeze. And again, going to utilize this wall to get them onto the high ground here. This comp, very difficult, very immobile to get up here. But perfectly timed wall gets them up to the top. Now they can actually initiate from the high ground while the cart gets pushed solo.
Yeah, slowly.
Love to see this kind of May play.
Slowly bringing that one up right now is Soon. Discord Orb is going to be out onto him. Alarm is playing that staple pick of his. That Zenyatta is going to be popping the Transcendence, trying to stay alive throughout that Blizzard so far. not looking so great as 3 members are going to be gone. Alarm with a sliver of HP, trying to survive, trying to find something here. We'll start getting a little bit of that shielding back, but Philadelphia Fusion on the wrong side of the map will all get taken down with Alarm being the last one to fall, so it's just going to be a very smooth ride forward into point B. I mean, look at this time bank. It's about to be bumped up to 5.5 minutes. So Paris Eternal in a very nice spot. Philly Fusion, they have to put a halt to this card. They do have that Blizzard, so it's possible, but they need to execute on it.
We'll never see what was going to happen with Carpe on the McCree on the Streets phase, but as you can see here, they're going to struggle in this fight without the ults they just traded. Very nasty fight here for Philadelphia Fusion. They don't have a Transcend, so it would have been amazing in that fight, but look how forward Paris is and how much free push they're going to get. Carpe's swap to McCree isn't useful until he can get into position. They just simply didn't allow that. And now they're going to get this free corner push that shouldn't be this easy. And Nico's already close to another Blizzard.
Well, in the back. Soon just taking some shots, trying to get that Molten Core online. Blizzard's going to be on the way. Philly Fusion have a plethora of ultimates to choose from at the moment, with Alarm trying to get that next Transcendence online. But for now.
Yeah, and look at the position of Benbest here up on the high ground. If Fusion did decide to commit in heavily, he could have dropped down. He's just going to safely come around now to the main part of the map.
Get the hull together. Yeah, Matrix going to be tossed in, looking for that accretion stun, but doesn't really net them much. Soon pokes his way up to that Molten Core, but then gets taken down by Alarm. A nice headshot with the orb. Manages to alleviate a lot of pressure. There's still 4 minutes remaining here for Paris Eternal. Really, Fusion have not yet had to burn any of these ultimates, so still are sitting in a decent spot. Nico has to use the wall to keep himself protected.
He's going to have that Blizzard now. Alarm Transcendence not quite ready. Paris are hoping to use theirs second. Here's the Molten Core.
Molten Core coming through. That's going to be the Gravitic Flux. Manages to find soon. Immortality Field is there to try to keep them alive, but Nico stunned up after tossing the Blizzard. Will just get picked off. I've actually lost it there in transit. Didn't see the zone on the ground, but either way, Carpe, with that high ground position, manages to get rid of both of the DPS members here for the Paris Eternal. So the cart very much in a lockdown now. Philadelphia Fusion have zoned them back, and Paris, the onus is on them to try and reapproach, and that can be rather difficult.
I think he was either hit by an accretion there or Carpe's flashbang, but I don't think the Blizzard went off, and that's huge. That's the ultimate they really needed. They at least could have traded Transcendence for that, but they don't get it. And Carpe has full sight lines now, and he gets picked again on the poke. Carpe has sightline control. You can see him there, looking for a wraparound here for the Deadeye potential.
They spot him.
And this is going to be so much time bought right now.
Oh, yeah.
And they basically can't lose a fight with the Trance.
Yeah, just about 3 minutes gone now. Soon as well is looking for a wraparound, but pushing up as a Tracer versus Carpe on a McCree is a very dangerous prospect. Flashbang, however, is going to be down, so now they pile forward, start looking for that kill. Very nice barrier placement. Will protect that supercharger for a little bit longer. And Matrix now out for Gray as he looks for a kill. A lot of poke damage going forward, but doesn't find anything yet. Sato going to get dropped. The Transcendence coming in from Alarm. It's a little bit too late to try to keep that Orisa alive. Shadow dropped in from Benbest. Gets Ivy on the ground, but they can't push forward to finish him off. They nearly do not tag back in on the point. Fast enough, however, Ivy trying to get there. Has to burn the ice block as Boombox is in the back. They buy a little bit more time as Sato comes through. Gets the pile driver, but they're zoned away. Trying to roll, push them off, but just a sliver of HP is remaining for this Wrecking Ball. They get the kills. They finally will be able to push through. But man, what a time buy for the Philadelphia Fusion. We went from 5.5 minutes down to below 2, so still a fantastic defense for Philly.
Insane push, though, from Paris. So clean, and soon looks for Carpe on the high ground there. He knew that Carpe was likely going to flank because there was no vision of Carpe in main. And when I say main, I mean the main archway. That's usually what people kind of describe any sort of main hallway in Overwatch. He knew that he didn't have Carpe there. There was no silent of no vision. He wasn't swapping heroes. So soon knew he was probably going to flank up there. And as you mentioned, there was a chance he was going to get flashbang and killed. So that's why he also told Gray to come with him. I believe it was Gray on the Batiste there. And he tossed an Immortality Field on top of him just in case. As soon as he got the confirm that Carpe was there, he gets to push that high ground, and the rest of the Paris Eternal come in on the other side. Then you see the Benbest charge at the end. They almost locked that down with 15 more seconds than they ended up with at the end of the day. because Benbest almost sneaked that away with just a simple charge so they could actually get that last, 0.1 meters or so. Really coordinated attempts here from Paris Eternal. And, we've been impressed by Paris, by their hitscan player XC, but now we're seeing Soon, and we're seeing a completely different look. We're seeing really good decision-making. Benbest is coordinated. Paris is a terrifying team in the Overwatch League right now.
Yeah, they definitely are. And that's with the recent departure of Hip as well. So they lose out on one of their members, but they still look quite formidable. And a lot of us, you and I especially, will both know that this is in advance of Sparkle's eligibility to play as well.
Yeah.
And when that happens, if it's going to be a Doomfist meta, every other team should be quivering in their boots.
Carpe going to go for this Hangzhou again. A lot of shield break with this, as I mentioned before.
Arrow not really going to be able to hit, and then Much and Fury just gets run down. Not much he can do, very limited mobility as a Sigma. Have to be dependent on a Lucio to try to get you out of there, but Philly Fusion, they're still running the Zenyatta and the Baptiste, so they do not have that extra move speed, so he just cannot get away. So strong start right now for Paris Eternal. That's netting them a lot of ult charge in comparison to Fusion.
Nico ends up putting up a good wall. The turret is doing massive damage. It just can't be dealt with, as if you can try to pivot to deal with it, then Paris Eternal does massive damage on the other side. It's a really nice setup here for Paris. As soon as almost at Molten Core already. And getting Carpe in a position to break those shields is the main goal. But look at this turret placement. As soon as they cross the line, they can get walled in. Walled out, you might even think from their perspective, they don't want to be in there.
Yeah. All together. As soon gets tagged up a bit, Discord Orb comes in on the back end. Otherwise, that might have potentially been a kill for them. Turret gonna get finished off the May wall, sending them back a bit. Just trying to keep them protected as that Amp Matrix is tossed in from Gray. Managed to find one pick, but they can't push forward through the choke yet. They just now will start moving up towards the point as soon. We'll be re-arriving with a Molten Core. So still potential to turn this one back on its head for the Paris Eternal. We'll see if they can manage it though. For now, they know they have to surrender a little bit on that point, so 2 ticks likely to be given up. They get close, and now that's going to be the drop down coming through. Molten Core tossed out from Soon. Headshots coming through on Asado, who tries to retreat. Will go ahead and move into the cafe. He's going to be alive for the moment, but the freeze comes in now. Fury, Alarm, Boombox. Everybody else pretty much going to be taken down. This is just going to be a team wipe at the end of it all. So they get up to 55%, but Paris Eternal retakes, and look at their ult bank right now. Yeah, nearly 5 online.
FD God set up a lot of that with his wraparound. He knocked them into a rough spot there, which allowed Nico to do massive freeze. He slowed everybody and then set up big freezes. And he knew, after he was hitting those right clicks, he's going to have Blizzard, but he didn't need to use it, so he holds it, and that's part of the big ult bank that you were just mentioning. Alarm has Transcendence. This is Philly's best chance, but also their last chance to take A here. This has to be their fight.
On the Hanbin. He's going to be stuck in that corner here for the moment. Dragon Strike going to be tossed in through the wall. Immortality Field comes out as well as the Sound Barrier to keep that Orisa alive. Blizzard invested as well from Nico, but they still managed to lose out on Hanbin. Benbest frozen behind the May wall, but the cleanup is there. Philly Fusion are able to push through. They persevere. They will make their way over onto the point, so it does not end here with a full hold. They will get this cap, but it's going to be with limited time in the bank to try to make it all the way through the Streets phase.
Yep. Very much a worse time bank than what we saw from Paris Eternal on their attack run. So you're going to stick with the Torbjorn here. Not going to swap over to Widow or anything like that, or even the McCree, which I think is a very strong pick. We didn't get to see from Carpe on the defense of the Streets phase. They're going to try to hold this archway with a turret here on the left side rather than going for the rooftops.
Oh, holding them out from around the corner. Gravitic Flux will drop them down, but the Immortality Field, of course, is going to be there. Shatter, drop in, catches a couple in the back, looking for the pin. Will take Fury rather low, but the Transcendence is still rolling, so Alarm keeps him topped up. On the back end of that, however, Alarm will still fall. It's at the cost of Hanbin, so 1-for-1 exchange a tank for a support as soon continues to fire away and try and get that Molten Core built up. A lot of damage there onto FD God, and Nico just explodes as Fury pushes up with the rest of his team. Seems like they will be able to push through here. But still, this is just a time buy for the Paris Eternal. They don't mind how scrappy that this gets. They just want that cart to be moving as little as humanly possible.
Exactly. They basically decided to try to take this archway fight in order to buy time and not just straight up control sight lines. And they get a lot of ultimates from it as well. Carpe is matching the Torbjorn now and is actually going to have the Molten Core advantage. They're going to try to use this high ground in conjunction with that and the Blizzard when Paris Eternal try to spill out of the point here. They're already out. So they can actually drop down and use those ultimates as soon as Carpe gets that last 10%, which he will in just a second here.
Turret for turret. Nice wall off there. Onto Hanbin. He's got really nowhere to go. Pops that Fortify, has to wrap around the backside of the saloon. As the cart continues to advance, an alarm finds yet another crucial pickup. Gray gonna fall. Now there's no supports here for the Paris Eternal. It seems like Philly Fusion can just go ahead and glide all the way into B. That is huge for them, making up for a lot of lost time from point A. Getting here rather swiftly. They gotta get a little bit closer to the cart to move it into the station. They finally do get it there though. And now they have 2 minutes 40 seconds in the time bank. So highly unlikely to get a superior time bank or even match that of the Paris Eternal. They would have to just basically non-stop push.
Paris also decides to they decided to try to hold the Arch on the retreat and get staggered as a result. So this is actually looking really bad for them in terms of what they could have accomplished. Like, there's still a good position to hold, but they've had a lot more.
Ooh, they all just pile down into that Gravitic Flux, but the sound barrier is out. Sato going to be eliminated as Carpe tries to find some kills with this Molten Core. Drops it all over the place, but soon in the back line tries to get rid of Alarm, but this is a very dangerous duel, and Alarm will come out on top. This guy made a name for himself as a Zenyatta player, and he manages to take down one of the legends of this game.
Paris now need to regroup here and try to build ults and stagger for Nico's Blizzard. He's a little bit behind, but he has the ability to control sightlines here if they can get those shields up. Philadelphia Fusion, though, not hesitating, already pushing up to the archway. Halt's not good enough here. Paris want this win. They've already got the time bank advantage, but they need that Blizzard in order to secure this. And I just don't know if they're going to get it.
Boombox taking a lot of damage. The Supercharger going to be dropped in by Sato. Amp Matrix out on the corner, but Hanbin just has to hide for now. See the poke around the corner from Carpe, trying to get on that flank angle. Does a ton of damage too soon. They force the use of the Immortality Field. Gray going to fall. Carpe manages to find that one. So another major pickup for him, but a very short run back for Gray. Soon struggling, trying to stay alive with a sliver of HP as Gray. He was flashing the Moira for a second there. Thought maybe he was going to try to come back in, but decides to go back to the Baptiste. May ult will come through from Nico, but he is going to fall immediately after using it. Alarm keeps the rest of the team topped up with that Transcendence. And Matrix is out. The tanks have to hide around the corner, despite the fact that they have that sound barrier shielding coming through. And Nico is going to be swapping over onto the Doomfist with Soon on the Tracer. So now going for dive, but they're going to have to fight their way through a Molten Core as well as a Blizzard here from the side of the Philly Fusion. They get rid of the turret. Carpe going to be delayed by a little bit longer, but he can just take up naturally to that ultimate. Nico, Seismic Slam into the back, looks for the kill here onto Alarm, but the Immortality Field is perfect, and they manage to cut him down. Shadow from the side, however, from Benbest is absolutely huge, and he gets a pin kill onto Alarm. Molten Core coming down from Carpe over towards the cart. Hanbin going to be picked off. Now FD God and Gray. There is no tanks. There are no supports. For the side of the Paris Eternal, it's just Nico against the world trying to defend this, but it is in overtime, so Philly Fusion not going to be able to get any time bank here. They instantly kill off the Doomfist. The Gravitic Flux pulls that Wrecking Ball so far into the air that he cannot contest, and they will be able to finish the map, but it's with 0 time in the bank.
Yeah, a lot of delay there from Paris Eternal. They were clearly playing for time bank advantage more than they were playing for the win, but they almost got it. They almost just straight up stole the map away. Benbest's Shatter, in particular there at the last moments, was really, really solid, very clutch. Philadelphia Fusion were able to, obviously with a man advantage, still win that fight and then eventually win out with Ivy's Blizzard. They played well around Nico's Doomfist. They knew that he was going to be swapping to that. Really nice Immortality Field that you called out from Alarm when he did go for that initial punch there. Or onto Alarm, rather, from Boombox when he went for that initial punch. And there were a lot of things that I think could have gone better for the Paris Eternal had they played more conservatively around B, and had they kind of played a little bit slower around C. But they played for time bank advantage, and as a result now, they're the only ones who have won, and the worst case scenario is a draw. They were able to achieve that goal of getting that overtime finish for Philadelphia Fusion. Let's see if their attack is worth it.
Just imagine that this is the series today that goes to 7 maps.
Could be.
That would be
I hope so.
Truly
actually,
outrageous.
To be honest with you.
I mean,
of the 3, I hope it's this one.
I'm not saying that I don't want it to happen. I'm just saying that that would be pretty damn ironic. But here we go. 1:55 at the start of the clock for the Paris Eternal to try to get a single tick on point A to move up 2-0. Otherwise, it's, as you say, a draw. And Philadelphia Fusion mitigate their losses. So taking quite a bit of damage on that approach. Just going to have to wait for cooldowns to come up. Barrier will get placed. They're looking for a hold off the side of the map, off the side of that high ground. They're unable to find that, but they do manage to get a pick off on the Soon. So still decent, but they just don't get on the point!
Wow. Unbelievable. Unbelievable that no one was on the point. I'm like just looking at my monitor in disbelief. Cannot believe that just happened. They just simply didn't communicate who was on the point or who was staggering. So.
Okay, well, there you have it. That's the end of Hollywood. Certainly not what I was expecting at all, but there's still that opportunity for Philly Fusion to try and come back into the series, but now it's going to take a reverse sweep. I'm going to have to decompress. I think Wolf is going to have to do the same as well, but luckily we have a game break coming up, so I'm going to toss it to the Watch Point guys and let them break down what just happened, because I can't even fathom it.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile. Rank up with America's first and only nationwide 5G network. And by State Farm. For auto, home, or renters insurance. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Hello and welcome to our game break presented by Cheese It Grooves. I am Zoe, joining me here for a quick chat about the match we are watching right now, Arcasta and Reinforce. And guys, this is a fantastic match. This is some really great quality Overwatch coming up from both of those teams.
We're going to ignore the Charlie Niner at the very end there. But other than that, I think this has been absolutely fantastic. Reinforce, you look very impressed.
I mean, that was what I was going to say going into this game break. Which is like, wow, what an incredible match we have in our hands. And then that happened. And it didn't go out the window, but it sort of just leaves a sour, bitter kind of like end to it, you know? It's not an end, but a bitter end to the half on it. Because, like, it was such an incredible matchup at the first map and the second map. Like, the amount of Lucio duels we're seeing, the DPS duels, we have Sado and Fury as the main tank and the off-tank duo on Philadelphia Fusion. I mean, this is an incredible matchup. The gameplay we're seeing, the smart play we're seeing from Paris Eternal. I specifically loved on third point how Gray and Soon took the high ground to set up Gray with his ultimate as well. Like, so many big brain plays going on, so much great mechanical skill. This is one of the better matchups we've seen so far this year, and even adding in their last matchup when we saw these teams go head-to-head. Like, this is turning out to be one of the better rivalries so far this season because of the gameplay we're seeing from both teams. I'm very impressed.
Yeah, who would have thought that going into this? Costa, I know you had your eyes on the Lucios there as well. Great stuff coming out from Funny Astra as well.
Yeah,
as
I think both of these players are playing incredibly well. It's been really interesting to see these two teams have a very similar strategy in how they want to play the game with the double shields for the most part and just sort of like running at each other. We saw a bit of an adaptation on Hollywood. We saw Philadelphia Fusion bring in Boombox to play the Baptiste instead of the Lucio. So they were playing a more defensive style, but you saw Paris Eternal playing a more offensive style with the Lucio and just sort of running them. So it was sort of like a back and forth between the two teams. I just love the adaptation that we're seeing, even though they're playing pretty similar comps.
Now, talking of adaptations, that brings us to our wonderful crunch time presented by Cheese It Grooves. Costa, I want you to take this one. We saw so much variety coming out of not just Carpet, but also Soon. It just looks like they're playing a game of chess within this game.
Yeah, I really want to
Overwatch.
highlight these two DPS players, veterans of the league and the game, and you can just see the deep hero pools and that they're willing to change their characters based on what the other is playing. We saw Soon originally in the first round come out as Torbjorn, which apparently is not a meme pick anymore. I didn't get the memo, but apparently so. But we actually see Carpe sort of flexing to sort of force Soon off of this. Soon is obviously playing this in some way to stop Carpe from playing the Tracer, but then we went to Ruins, and Carpe plays the Widow, Soon goes to match him on the Widow, and we've just seen that throughout the entire series of, you're going to play this, okay, I'm going to play this, okay, you're going to play this, and then I'm going to play this. And all the adaptation is coming out has been really cool. We've sort of seen it settle a little bit on the Torbjorn of all things, which is interesting, but I'm expecting to see more adaptations as we go into future maps.
I love it, really. And I think the reason, maybe, I'm just speculating with, an educated guess, I might say, but I think we're seeing a lot of Torbjorn actually because of the double shield compositions. Yeah. I think that if we saw Reinhardt and D.Va, I think it'd be back to mostly McCree. But McCree is not rendered useless, but he's usually picked for his finishing blow potential. Remember, he deals a lot of damage. He can actually finish off targets quite quick. But when you're playing against a double shield composition, there is so much shield in between you and the enemy team that you can't really get a lot of things done as your McCree. So I think Torbjorn actually has quite a lot of damage output if you add up the Torbjorn himself with his turret. Like, there's a lot of damage there to poke at shields as well as shutting down tracers. So I think Torbjorn actually has found himself quite a niche in this sort of meta. And then Costa, you added on as well when we were talking about it, that his ultimate is actually gaining some value now in these slower compositions. So I am enjoying what I'm seeing, and I think that's why we're seeing some Torbjorn actually.
Absolutely. Torbjorn is back in the meta. No jokes. This is the timeline we're living in. Now, Paris is up 2-0 against the Fusion, but by no means has this been a blowout. It is a very close match. Let's see if the Fusion can bring it back in our second half. So we're going to send it once more back to our casters.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Cheese It Grooves. Deep flavor, deep crunch. It's a mind crunch. The Overwatch League is brought to you by HyperX. Unleash your style, unleash your fury with HyperX Fury Memory. And by Coca-Cola, the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are here after the half. Currently a lead for the Paris Eternal, up 2-0 over the Philadelphia Fusion, who now need to reverse sweep in order to take this series. Otherwise, they're going to be getting tied up as far as match record is concerned with the Paris Eternal. This would move them to a 6-2.
That's right. Very much a closer series, I think, than the scoreline does indicate, but
oh, for sure.
We got to talk about, before we go into that third map, we got to talk about that, you know, people are saying, is it a C9? Is it not a C9? How in caps is the god of FD god? Look, if you're Paris, you know that they've dropped off in this weird angle where they're ice walled at the top. There's only one way to go through the point at that point, is around that side where FD god was, and he hits the boop. You can't defend like Philly did when you're at a one-tick loss situation because you don't have time to recontest the point. By the way, even if FD God didn't boop, that fight is 100% lost because the positioning is so poor there, they can't win it. So, I mean, that was a mess. Paris Eternal are probably thinking, well, that was easy. What a free end to the point. I mean, we talked about how they stalled for that overtime, for that worst-case draw scenario. The attack was so easy for them. They've got to be feeling great going to this third map.
Oh, I think so, especially as we take a look at our map set. Since it's their home map, it's going to be Paris coming up for Assault, and we'll see if Eternal can close it out there. Can't think of a more fitting place for them to find a victory here in this series. But yeah, I agree with you. I think there's a bit of conjecture there, obviously, as far as like whether or not they would win the fight. But not popping the Fortify to actually get through the boop is a major misplay there. And the setup as well was just a little bit too risky, and it cost them dearly in the end. But now, Philly Fusion with their backs against the wall. We'll have to see if they can persevere and, in fact, get that reverse sweep rolling with a map victory here on Paris, or at least elongate the series by trying to force a draw here. Either way, not a good position to be in whatsoever for these guys, so the pressure is certainly on, and we do see a substitution coming back in. This is going to be Boombox taking another step back, and Funny Astro rejoining the squad like we saw in map number 1.
Yeah. Looks like it's pretty map specific there. Boombox played a pretty good game, solid.
Yeah, I think it was they wanted to do the swap out because you know, Funny Astro. You think of Funny Astro, you think of him with the Lucio. Seems like they wanted to run that Zenyatta Baptiste duo, so bringing in Boombox to run that Baptiste just made a little bit more sense.
Well, for the Fusion now, another concern I have is that this is a map that doesn't really play, at least on A in particular, doesn't really play into their style of kind of more ranged, focused, you know, either via hit scan or via the Hangzhou, more poke oriented on the both attack and defense oftentimes, as we saw on Hollywood. So they're going to be the attackers this time into the Torbjorn May. We'll see if Carpe can make it happen with this Hangzhou. There were struggles. They lost a lot of time bank on A on Hollywood with this composition. I don't know if this Sato ball is really, I didn't think so. The Junkrat was a surprise, but it's not really either. That's a lot of time lost there, but Philly scouted out. Going to match compositions besides the Sigma here. That's just to help break this bunker. And the Zenyatta as well, obviously coming in as a variation.
Yeah, so still going to be sticking through with that. Funny will be on that Baptiste instead of the Lucio. As I said, this could be a little bit rough because Sigma's move speed as well as the Arisa for that matter. They are very slow moving. So going up against the Lucio, it's really hard to run away. It's also hard to just get up on top of your opponents. But hey, who has to get up on top of him when Carpe can just click heads? Manages to find a pick off there onto Nico. And this is just unraveling completely for Paris Eternal on this A defense.
Yeah.
You know, a support down. So now going to have to go ahead and just work their way over onto the point, and Paris just kind of have to give it up.
Nico very aggressively looking for body shots there to build ult charge, and he gets discorded. Alarm hits multiple discard targets in a row that Philadelphia Fusion all collapse in on and kill. So Alarm kind of sets the ball up for that one. And the spike comes through. I mean, Alarm at 33% of ult charge. You can see he wasn't doing the majority of the damage, but that Discord orb really makes it all the easier to pick off single targets with the comp they're running. And it's not just Blizzard deterrence, the reason why we're seeing this in Yada. It's also the ability to shut down these players that step over the line who are too aggressive.
Will be that left-hand wraparound from the defender's perspective. Turret going to be placed in the cubby just below that window. Try and poke them down as they get their way onto the point soon. Is further ahead. And when it comes to that Molten Core, so it might be enough to try and turn this fight around. And Matrix going to be coming through. Nico responds with a May wall. Funny Astro spamming away, still manages to find Hanbin. Not a loss that the Paris Eternal can really afford right now. Soon going to have to try and overcharge himself. Get that armor coming through. They get the freeze here onto Ben Best, and this is just a complete steamroll at the hands of the Philadelphia Fusion. Such a massive turnaround compared to these first two maps. They just absolutely crush it. Last second tag in does come through from Hanbin, but the cleanup is there. 4 minutes and 29 seconds. It was like Paris didn't even load into the map. Philly Fusion completely crushed.
Well, let's not get too excited about this. The same could happen in reverse. It's
Oh,
Assault,
absolutely.
and it's Paris, so you get A that dominantly, you often get the B that comes with it. So no ults available there on the defense for Paris, whereas Philly had all of theirs to push through.
Well, absolutely brutal start here for the side of the Paris Eternal. We'll have to see how they bounce back now that they get ready to go on the attack. Of course, guys, though, we want to give a huge thanks to our friends at TeamSpeak for the hard work they put into helping making these online matches happen. I know that you guys don't see a lot of what's going on behind the scenes, but there is so many people working on this, and TeamSpeak as an organization, of course, is one of them. So to give them some love, be sure to use the code listed below. It's going to be OWLSPEAK20 to redeem your very own Overwatch League badge in the TeamSpeak Client. I got mine. It makes me feel a little cool when I'm in here casting.
Yeah, we've got a really nice infrastructure set up with TeamSpeak actually to communicate with all of our directors, with the observers, all the casters, the Watchpoint team. It's actually really, really awesome. It's been a pleasure working with them throughout this remote broadcast. For the defense setup here, Philly, not going to change it up. Obviously, the Zenyatta not really going to be as valuable in this type of setup, so they're going to put Funny Astro on the Lucio, Alarm onto the Batiste, so a little bit of swap up there, but otherwise you're going to see the Rhine, Orisa. Paris Eternal might look for a kind of cheeky teleport here. Very difficult to execute, though. They did it really well on Ilios. See if they can match it. They bait out the ice wall early. See if they can get value out of this Symmetra pick. Very difficult to execute.
Well, for now, just going to be playing back in the corner by the police station. We'll start advancing their way forward.
That's
so, yeah, they will take the high ground here. They can hold it off instantly, but look at this. Soon is very charged up as a Symmetra. He's just going to start melting down these barriers. They already find Fury. So a solid enough start for the Paris Eternal, but they need to get a little bit more to actually crack open this point. Ivy going to get dragged off the top of that May wall. Goes into the ice block, but starts falling lower and lower. Immortality Field buys him a little bit more time, but FD God finds the kill. On the Funny Astro. Pin not going to connect, so Sato will fall. FD God is kind of filling the kill feed at the moment. Alarm will be able to trade one back, but FD God continues with his bloodthirsty streak. Will finally get shut down by Alarm. He's going to be setting up with that Amp Matrix, but Ivy will fall, and Alarm is all on his lonesome, left to his own devices. Finds the shots here onto Gray, tries to keep Fury alive, but they finally will fall, and the cap will come through. That's going to be 5 minutes, 34 seconds at the start here for Paris Eternal. Now the question is, can they get this within a minute to match?
Fusion has more tools than Paris had on their defense, and Paris doesn't even have their Blizzard yet, and the Photon Barrier not all that great. Really nice teleport bait, though, from Paris into the ice wall. Two great ones from Nico to help get that point quickly. Ivy needs to have a big Blizzard here, though, if they're going to try to deplete this time bank. Here's the Photon Barrier, but the wall goes up.
And blocks him out for a little bit. Sato going to be cut off here for the moment. The Fire Strike takes a little bit more off of his life, but turn set up there in the side with a Blizzard means that Ivy can find the kill onto Hanbin. And with Ben Best being frozen, this is likely going to have to be a pullback. They're trying to escape Maywall for Maywall coming up as they try to successfully retreat and wait for Hanbin to rejoin.
Yeah, they need to get out of here and regroup. They've already lost the time bank war. That's fine, but you don't want to lose even more by trying to force the issue down a member. A long walk back, for Hanbin means that this is just so much time off the clock here. Philadelphia Fusion should feel great about this. They have Molten Core for these choke points. The turret placement is absolutely correct. And Paris are in trouble, time bank wise, serious trouble.
Yeah. Barrier getting broken as they push around to the back high ground. Will drop down. Oh man, Shatter coming through. Benbest does get stunned up there for the moment. Sound barrier from FD God, not enough to keep Suno alive, and Carpe going to be frozen in the middle of that Molten Core. Can that be the turning point for the fight? Shatter comes in, but the Immortality Field and Sound Barrier is out from Funny Astro, and the pin from Sato is good. Gets rid of Gray, and that will be the rest of the Paris Eternal crumbling after those initial picks. It seemed like maybe they might have been able to fight their way through it, but yeah, they just lose out in all fronts, and Philly Fusion do not even give up a single tick. Now going to have a minute advantage as the clock continues to tick down.
This is really bad. Like, I can't even overstate how bad this is for Paris because they lost Blizzard. Benbest tried to shatter, didn't work out. You know, Nico defended pretty well Sato's shatter with his ice wall, but it didn't last forever. And sure, they're going to get another Photon Barrier fairly soon, but the May Blizzard is so important. Ivy's going to have another one, and that's going to lead into Carpe's next Molten Core. This might be more than a time bank advantage. This might be straight up a hold for Philly if they can keep this ult economy lead.
We'll have to see. Get the hold together, but not able to find any extra damage on the back end of that one. Soon just trying to poke out where he can with those right clicks. Searching them up, trying to get some fat damage in. Benbest looking for that pin, but the Fortify going to be used. So Fury keeps himself safe in that regards. Supercharger going to be dropped in. He's got a sliver of HP, but Alarm is there. Spamming in the right clicks, getting those healing nades out. They will be able to keep Fury alive. Nico is poking out here, buying a little bit of time, trying to get that ult charge up, but again, no ticks gained for the Paris Eternal. They have multiple ultimates coming online, but if they can't get this with nearly 6 ults, then yeah, it's going to be a hold.
This is basically their last chance, I'd say. And I don't even want to say that because I don't think this is a fight that they can realistically win unless they get really nice value out of the Photon Blizzard. Like, they need to get 2 kills before Philly can even get close to 1 and start to snowball it that way. Carpe has Molten Core, that's going to delay. And that's what Ivy's Blizzard helped accomplish, right? I mean, they just keep getting these ultimates. Here comes the engage.
Ult barrier is going to be there. The Blizzard going to be tossed in as well. FD God gets rid of Carpe, so it's a little bit less poke damage coming through. Sound barrier still held for FD God. Funny Astro uses his. They manage to find the kill, soon opens things up. Can they get more? Shatter going to be dropped down, finds the solo hit there onto Nico. He'll be able to get the kills, and there you have it. Just the supports left alive. At the end of the day, they get a single tick, but now we're down to a minute and a half. So even if Paris Eternal are going to finish this map, it's looking like it's going to be into overtime. And again, they're in a position where they have to try and force a draw. But this time, Philly Fusion would have 4.5 minutes to take a single tick.
It's very much, they've gotten themselves into ult economy checkmate because every time they ult, Fusion has the advantage. They have more ultimates, and then the DPS players were staggering ults together. The Torb and the Mei just swapping back and forth. Now Ivy's got his Blizzard. Carpe is just going to swap off the Torb because they know they only need 1 more defense here. And Paris Eternal doesn't have anything left. This happens a lot when you try to go for the double cap and fail.
The flashbang over the top, managed to get the shatter in. Catches 2, but the Immortality Field is there. As soon as overstepped, Carpe finding the headshot instantly. Gets rid of that McCree. Nico trying to find a target to freeze, but so far everybody's been rather elusive. And Matrix will get tossed up here into the hallway, but they can't really utilize it because everyone's just so damn low. Now the wall comes up, they get the cutoff here onto Benbest, and this is catastrophic for the Paris Eternal here as Funny Astro will get 3 kills for himself, make it a 4th, give this man more. He pushes forward, but Hanbin just a little bit too healthy, so will not be able to get taken down. But yeah, Funny Astro excelling right now on the back end of that fight.
Really great Immortality Field from Alarm there as well. That was insanely huge. Soon looks for the flashbang shatter, and it's just instantly popped the Immortality Field, preventing that follow-up damage. That was their only chance. That was their whole game plan.
Pushing forward, no ultimates to utilize. Sato with a shatter. They nearly have a sound barrier as well as that Dragon Strike. Fusion are holding all the cards. Only 1 tick grabbed. Benbest inches his way back up onto the point to force that OT meter to reset. Soon finds 1 as Ivy will get headshot. Nico in the ice block going around the side, nearly has that Blizzard online, and he needs to get this off, and it needs to be a huge one, but he's going to get shattered to the ground, looking for the pin, but they manage to get the stun. They stop Sato in his track. Now Nico is taken out, and FD God has fallen. Gray eliminated, no supports left to go. The Paris Eternal will in fact be held right here. Philadelphia Fusion puts their foot down, says, you know what, we're not done in this series yet. We might have had a blunder on Hollywood, but we're going to bring this one back. They keep themselves alive, and they bring the scoreline to 2-1.
They just took really good defensive fights on B. That first fight when you're the attackers, when you're trying to go for the double cap, and it applies to both the first attack and the second, doesn't matter the order there. If you mess that up and your opponent gets to hold better ultimates than you and you commit everything, and then even commit further and have a late retreat, you lose a ton of time. You give your opponents more ult charge, they hold further ult advantage over you, and on a map like Paris, sometimes it's either you get the fast double cap or you just don't get B at all. And it's no surprise that that trend continues. Philly play really well around the shatter flashbang combo there, and it's, you know, it's an easy cleanup.
Very solid stuff from the Philadelphia Fusion, looking alive now. But are they going to be able to continue this journey and take us further into this series? We're going to find out in a bit as we get ready to come back for map number 4. Home field advantage, really not working out for Paris Eternal, but we'll see if they can still close it out when we come back for the next map.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile. Rank up with America's first and only nationwide 5G network. And by State Farm. For auto, home, or renters insurance. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Ilios. We're back. I don't know if Ilios realizes it yet, but we're back. We're back here for this next map. We're going into Dorado for game 4 as Ilios sorts things out. It's just
I'm
me
here.
Doing
I didn't get
play stuff. Wait,
sorry guys.
Is he here?
Yeah,
okay,
I'm here.
He's here. All right.
How's it going? I didn't get a count in.
Oh, it's okay.
It's
We're
all
good.
right.
I got one. It was for, I guess it was only for me. I guess I was supposed to open this time. So we're heading to Dorado to see if Paris Eternal can close this one out, or if that reverse sweep you were alluding to might start to creep its way back in after a really nice Paris game there.
They're going to be trying for it. It seems like the momentum is fully shifted back into Philly's hands after that map. Just kind of from the outset, didn't know what to do. Whether it was on offense or defense, it was just very rough for Paris Eternal. So now we have to see how they fare on an escort map.
Yeah, I mean, this is a pretty different type of map to what we saw earlier on Hollywood. Sure, Hollywood has its high grounds and chokes that you can control, but we basically saw Archway fight for A, Archway fight for B there, that little choke point, and then we saw kind of some slow fights on C. It ended up being an overtime game. Dorado doesn't really play that way, though. Very much a map where you need to play around sightlines, you need to play around a lot of different heroes as well, like potentially a Pharah could come out on this map. So I think the hero pool is quite wide here.
We'll see what they land on. The Torbjorn has been very prevalent throughout this, so maybe we'll just see that continue forward. Already Carpe flashing that one here for us.
Yeah, I always say, like, look at all the heroes we could see. but that's because I'm used to casting the Asia games. In
Very
non-Asia regions, we end up seeing just a lot of meta.
I mean, this is the first time that you and I are, casting while the sun is still out. And then, by the time that this this day ends, the sun is probably going to be going down for me. But that's a very big change from having the sun come up at the end of the evening. So, change of pace for you and I. So yeah, going to be a little bit more stock standard. Carpe will be on that Torbjorn here during the defense.
Soon just going to poke.
Likely looking for that initial pickoff.
He checks for a Pharah too. You can
see.
Yeah, he just makes sure. Well, look for a poke here around the corner as well. I think it would be unwise to continue this even with a halt. It's
double barrier, so always a little bit rough. Immortality Field will get taken out. One from Paris Eternal not really being focus fired at all. They find Alarm, but here comes Carpe. They'll get rid of Ben Best, and FD God will also fall. Now he'll get a third to his name. So a very strong start for the Torbjorn, and now we're actually going to have a pause. Seems like Alarm calling for that one.
Yep. Looks like it's going to be on the Philly side just based on chat there with the Alarm and the Philly coach giving the P's in the chat. But anyway, just to talk about that last fight, it was obviously the later Immortality Field coming down for Boombox. He's able to heal everybody up. I think had Soon been playing almost any other hero, then they could have pushed forward and gotten the cleanup kills because they got the initial picks. Everyone was super low there on the side of Philadelphia Fusion. But they couldn't get the follow-up, and Boombox is just healing everybody, keeping them alive. Boombox had a pretty decent Batiste performance when they're running this Batiste Zen. He's looked pretty good overall today, being subbed in. And, Funny Astro is a big favorite right now, so a little bit surprising to see, but I love Boombox personally. I think he's a really positive personality in the scene. He's a really good support player, and I'm positively surprised by what we're seeing from him so far.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes down to the supports there for the Fusion, it's kind of like pick of the litter. It's not really a bad option for them. We've just been seeing so much Funny Astro that it's interesting to see Boombox coming back through. But I agree with you. His Baptiste has been very good so far throughout this series. Funny as well. Funny Astros was solid on Paris and helped net them that victory. But we're just going to get things sorted out here regarding this pause and then jump back in and see exactly what happens. But so far, Carpe is pounding. So that's a very good start.
Yeah, I mean, he's playing a hero that operates around these choke points really well. He's playing the corner.
He's at 50% already.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty crazy.
33 seconds into this round. So not bad at all. So having the Molten Core, especially if they can keep that cart in the choke, if you can get the Molten Core online that quickly, that is going to be catastrophic for the Paris Eternal trying to retake that cart.
Yeah. The other thing to mention going into this next fight as well is I think Soon is probably going to have to swap. I mean, this is... He didn't get the initial pick off. There wasn't a Pharah, right? He checked for it. You could see him poke his crosshair up to the top left there, potentially if there was a Pharah there. Or also, it could have been Carpe on his own drop into the air, Widow. That would have been another thing that he could have spotted out with that. But trying to shoot through the barriers, as you can see, he's not doing much. 14, 15% here.
All right, well, we are back into the game. And the car is currently rolling up through the choke. Barrier instantly going to be taken out there from Hanbin. It'll just be a peel back for the moment. Seems like they're going to try to wrap around this left-hand side, come down the ramp, and then retake rather than try and play through that poke, just because that choke rather, because there's so much poke. Amp Matrix going to be used. Maywall broken down. They get that turret in the back line, but they can't get too many other sight lines onto the members of the Philadelphia Fusion.
Yeah, they're going to have to wrap around this fountain here. Good wall, but it's not enough.
It tries to deny them, but they still manage to make their way through. The pin is going to be good. Fury's going to be taken down. Sato manages to find one, and Fox gets another. Getting rid of one of those tanks. The freeze coming out from the Blizzard, however, is going to be the real hero. It allows for Carpe and Ivy to both clean up house. So team kill comes through now down below 2.5 minutes. They have that Molten Core online, so if they can get that choke control back, this could be very good for the Philly Fusion.
That was a really nice fight for Paris Eternal, though. They've baited out a lot of ultimates. Finbest is really doing a great job at devaluing these immortality fields. Nico's now going to have Blizzard advantage. second one here of the map.
Well, uses the wall first. They're going to try to win the fight without using that Mayult perhaps, but now we'll just go ahead, toss it in at the end. Ivy in the ice block will outlast the majority of it, but still gets finished off in the end by Nico with that headshot. But the molten core from Carpe does manage to claim the life of the May. Cart just 2.02 meters away, and now we'll go ahead and glide in. So 4 minutes on the clock. Not too terrible here for the Paris Eternal. Would have liked to have held on to that May ult for sure, but he's not that far behind. If he can start getting some poke damage in, he can catch up to Ivy.
Yeah, I think he's actually really happy with how this worked out. Like, that was, after a lost fight there on the Fountain Point, like, that's about as good as it gets to the ulti bait. And you end up getting a pretty decent time bank as well after that first somewhat bungled attack. Ended up getting a slight advantage there, but then pushing around this corner now, relatively free. When you know they're not running long-range hit scan, you're in a pretty good spot to get this corner. And now Philly has to be the ones to be aggressive. They can just use this top here that everyone's standing on as almost like an umbrella and just roll around the edge. And Philly's going to have to drop down if they want to engage.
Oh, really good drag down there on the Carpe. He just did not stand a chance. So early pickoff here. Now the fight going to unfold. Gray uses that immortality field to keep himself alive, but they focus fire that one down, and Fury bouncing those spheres manages to get that kill. So down a support now. Alarm just hovers here on the high ground. Gets the kill onto FD God. They're going to go ahead and retreat inside the bank, but a little bit cut off from the rest of the squad. Have to wait for Gray, have to wait for FD God to get there.
Yeah. This is going to be where Philly has their best stand with the composition they're running, because they can play around this wider area where the Torbjorn turret actually gets a lot of value with the crossfire. And they also have this ult advantage coming online with Ivy's Blizzard, not to mention the Transcend. So now Paris has to be the engage team, and they don't have any tools to do so.
So that wall there, Ivy not really going to be able to get too much. Mortality field will be finished off as we hear the Molten Core coming through from soon. The Blizzard lobbed in, catches 3 here onto the point. They'll finish off the Immortality field, and that's going to be both tanks falling. Gray manages to trade 1 back into their favor. Ivy will also fall. The support's doing some serious work now, but Nico locked up into the air, slam back down, will fall to Gravitic Flux, as Fury will go ahead and net himself yet another kill. So the cart's still going to be stopped here in front of B. Minute and 50 remaining. So Paris Eternal, they still have plenty of time to get this into B, but it will be with a weak time bank.
So Philadelphia Fusion here used a ton of ultimates. Like Paris, again, not a perfect scenario, not a perfect world, but they have the Blizzard. There's no answer for it this time. They trade out Ivy's Blizzard. And Molten Core is really the only thing they have to worry about right now. They know that's coming online soon, and they probably assume that it already is online. But if they can get into position for a straight-up team fight, they should be able to finish this. Getting into position is the hardest part, though. They do get underneath.
Have that cooldown burned. Suna's going to be the one going over to the cart and start dragging that forward. See the drop down coming through from Carpe. Takes a little bit of damage. The recall are going to be forced out. He's up into the face of that May, so has to dip back into the bank and try and stay safe. Carpe with a Molten Core. Lays that down. You can see ice block out from Nico, just trying to survive. Has to boost himself up over the lava just to keep himself in the fight, but still is getting poked lower and lower. And Alarm still on this high ground, completely unhindered. Finds a kill onto Hanbin. This continues to look very good for the Philly Fusion on this defense, and soon, not the jump scare that you wanted to see. Pushes straight up into the face of the devil herself. Ivy finds the kill.
Yeah. I don't think he should have been sticking around there that long. He wanted to get an exit kill on his way back, but had to recall there. Very unfortunate. And now the Pulse Bomb and the Supercharge are really their only great tools to make something happen here, get an opening pick. But with Transcendence available here, Paris is all but spent. They need a miracle. Soon's trying to make it happen.
On the turret, Soon again starting to move that cart up. It's going to have to stay stuck to that one. So he tries to wait for the tank line to join him. He'll be dashing away. Ben Best now taking over cart duties. Drop down comes in from Sato. The wall perfectly placed to go ahead and help mitigate that damage going out onto him. Hanbin with a Discord Orb, getting chunked down below half HP. They're trying to keep him alive. Gravitic Flux, however, will push him up into the air to slam him back down. Fury finds the kill. Soon lobs at the Pulse Bomb, but it's not going to lead to anything other than his own death. Carpe will find the final 2. And that is where the cart will lie, just in front of point B. So very possible push here for the Philly Fusion to try and tie up this series.
I love how Alarm used his Transcendence just to delay so that Philly could take the fight they wanted no matter what. So it was actually quite impressive to see how they played around that trance, because what happened was Alarm stands on the point right. He's in a pretty vulnerable spot. He becomes relatively invulnerable as he transcendences. Paris Eternal try to collapse into him and still punish him, and that leads to the follow-up damage coming through with the Flux. They're all grouped up in one area, and Paris can't take the fight they want because Alarm transcends there. So very cool stuff, and very, I almost want to say metagamey, pretty sneaky what Alarm did there. It's these little things. It's not always the fragging, it's not always the kills that are the most important thing. Sometimes it's how you use your ultimates, and Transcendence, just ask Sideshow, it could be used more for more than just healing.
Philly Fusion. I don't think we're going to see that Soldier stick through, but we do have Soon starting with the Widowmaker. And this is, again, very bold because he can very reliably expect for Sato and Fury to be playing this double barrier, so getting sightlines to actually kill anybody is extremely difficult. If he can pull it off, it's a highlight reel, but if he can't, then it's just going to look a little foolish, perhaps.
Stop the payload.
Already that jump up over the top. Not going to find anything, so we'll just be piled in behind the barriers here to keep himself safe. As they look for a little bit of chip damage, that hold way too high to actually drag anybody out. But already repositioning, going to be coming through from the Paris Eternal. They don't want to stay on that high ground and let the cart just glide through the choke for free. So we'll just pull back to the other side of the underpass. Continue to try to break down these barriers. Maywall coming up, but not really going to be zoning anyone off the cart.
Soon here, almost able to get a nice pick off there, but the barriers are getting broken down. And this is pretty successful delay here from Paris. The big problem being that as the cart rolls forward like this, Nico isn't getting much Blizzard charge, and that's something that I think he's really going to need if they want to slow this
Ivy
quickly enough.
Isn't either. See, push up there onto that high ground Fusion, just trying to get a single pick. Anyone taken down would be huge for them. But breaking through these shields is proving to be difficult, and that's costing Carpe a lot of ult charge. Just going to be sitting here at 34%. So a very long ways away from having that Molten Core online. There you go.
Alarm just not able to
Soon
find the
finally finds a
Discord
shot.
orbs. He's looking for
That's going to be another
Boombox.
solo kill added for his
Steps over the
tally.
line.
Gets rid of Boombox, and now it's just going to be the waiting game for the Philly Fusion. To allow him to respawn, run back over to the rest of the squad, so instantly 15 seconds burned off the clock.
And Nico's going to have a Blizzard for this next fight, and that's really important. You really want to have that Blizzard advantage.
Soon. Just waiting in the back. Pushing up now. Coming up the staircase. See if anybody can get picked off. Shot's going to be flying. Maywall used. But they're not crossing to that little bridge across the top here to try and get a peek through the window. They are just delaying, so the Maywall doesn't buy them much. Carpe going to be playing solo. Down by the cart, he gets body shot. Nearly taken out by Soon with that Widowmaker. The nice Hulk combo, and Hanbin is able to find that kill. Now Sato going to fall as well. Down below a minute and a half, this starts getting a bit more dire for the Philly Fusion because ults are stacked across the board. Gray doesn't have that Amp Matrix. Fusion about to have 5 of their own ultimates. As Carpe swaps over onto the Hanzo, but Paris Eternal, they have the Blizzard as well. They nearly have a Shatter, a Supercharger. And as time goes on, if people continue to get picked off solo, it's going to be Gray building up for an Amp Matrix of his own.
Locked by the dragon. 60 seconds remaining.
Person can hide from my sight.
Soon. Keeps looking for those picks. Gravitic Flux into the back. Manages to pick up a couple members as Gray will fall to a headshot there from Ivy. Sound barrier Not coming in to keep him up. Soon pushes forward very aggressively, but it's going to get finished off by the Accretion. Fury just lobs that one in, and just like that, the point has completely been broken open. A bit too aggro for Paris. Now they will be losing out on this point A, you would expect, unless they can pull off a miraculous hold, but Benbest is just now respawning, and no one is really close enough to contest this one.
Yeah, this is
Gray
a really...
hovering nearby. Do they go for this? The answer's going to be yes.
Yeah, they are going to go for this. I don't know if this is the right move. They're going to look for the flank shatter.
Well, Gray already picked off. First one in the last fight, first one in this fight. Carpe getting around behind. He's got the high ground now on top of the door. Shatter dropped in from Benbest. Doesn't manage to stun anybody up. Fire strike through, doesn't find anything either. Now FD God and Benbest both going to fall. Hanbin is gone. They have to abandon this fight. And that will just be the end of it. They will push through. 2.5 minutes now to get just in front of point B. Paris Eternal, they bought a lot of time off that bank, but a little overzealous on that reapproach.
I really don't like the contest there, because you're already looking at an overtime finish. You're going to have the same amount of time no matter what. You don't have the tools to contest, to really look for a hold there. Benbest Shatter is optimistic at best. And now you've given Philadelphia Fusion more ult charge. You've basically fed ult charge while trading your own ults poorly. And now Soon is trying to swap over to Widow to hope for some lucky picks here, but I really feel like they could have just waited, controlled high ground, and traded ultimates better. Carts, you know, obviously halted for just a moment here as they drop down.
Dragon Strike gonna be used. That's straight through the steps there, and Carpe will find a follow-up kill onto Soon, and now he has that high ground. Really difficult for anyone to try and contest him. You see the boop coming in from FD God, but even he not willing to push up to try and get the killing blow onto Carpe. Gray seems like he's up to the task, however. Does manage to force his position back with the Fire Strike through with the halt. No, they're not Fire Strike, my bad. A bit of damage coming through, though, with the back side of that halt is just huge. Onto the members of the Paris Eternal, they break them down. And now
it's a free
push opening right now. Up. Yeah, Soon is up on the high ground, but he doesn't have a pulse bomb. He's got really no way to threaten here. Even if he jumps onto Alarm, that Transcendence is ready to go, so he can't get that pick off.
He certainly is not going to get a pick off. He's just trying to delay the cart. He just touched it. He's trying to give the rest of the team time to reposition. They're ice walled out, though, and the cart just keeps rolling. Soon is again going to have to touch this cart as Nico's trying to set up for a Blizzard.
But Flux used there by Fury. Blizzard is out from Nico. They managed to find a kill onto Soon. Hanbin trading one back now onto Sato. Fusion dangerously close, meters away from that box of victory with 35 seconds remaining. Paris Eternal, they drop the beat. Looking to elongate this fight. They managed to find two, but Carpe tries to trade it back. He gets double headshots there. One on the Gray, now Benbest. Gets a final shot there onto Soon.
So close.
Of HP remaining. Hanbin just cannot hide behind that barrier. Needs to get the finishing blow onto FD God. He's trying to juke him out. The arrow not going to connect. Nico rejoins with a Doomfist, but it's already taken down Sato, finding the kill. Benbest, however, has come back in. 100% just about to be there with that shatter, but Boombox cuts him down before he can get the ultimate online. He manages to find Gray. FD God taking lower and lower. Can they actually pull this one off? Fusion so very close to taking us to a game number 5. But Paris Eternal trying to fight tooth and nail to stop that from happening. The pulse bomb from Soon, unable to find anything. He will be finished off on the back end of that one. The punch comes in. They get the seismic slam in with the uppercut, but it doesn't get Jack. Nico is taken down. The shatter hits no one. Benbest can only find Ivy before he is eliminated by Alarm. They are starting to glide their way in. Hanbin, the last one to fall. And Philly Fusion will, in fact, be able to push forward into point B on Dorado to take us to a map number 5.
Going the distance, going to game 5 in this series. Incredible clutch performance by Carpe there in the end. Hitting the headshots with flick shots on Hangzhou when he needed to at the last moments. Without those kills, Paris Eternal would have eventually overwhelmed the slower returning members there of the Philadelphia Fusion and would have started to win that fight. Really nice plays from Carpe at that last second, despite a heroic attempt there by Nico to set up that Blizzard and to look for that final team fight. Really close map at Dorado. You don't see Dorado games look like this very often.
Yeah, I mean, that was neck and neck, but we are in fact going to a game number 5. Philadelphia Fusion on the cusp of being able to get this reverse sweep pulled off. Paris Eternal, they need to just hunker down one final time to try and close this out, to tie the record that we currently have in the season for the Philly Fusion. We'll see if they're up to the task or if Fusion can in fact pull off that reverse sweep when we come back.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. One final map between these two teams to decide it all. Reverse sweep nearly pulled off now by the Philadelphia Fusion. Just need to get this final round of control, and they will have done it. Paris Eternal, though, such a strong start in this series. Strong performances throughout. To lose like this in a reverse sweep, it's always the most terrible of feelings, so they do not want that to happen.
Yeah, I mean, after such a great start, too, and really intelligent plays overall throughout this series, you know, I gotta applaud them for actually keeping the maps they just lost as close as they were. But Philadelphia Fusion definitely look like they've bounced back. Some of the smaller mistakes we were seeing, like that weird Hollywood snafu there on A, some of these things are getting tightened up. We're seeing them able to very, very convincingly swap between Boombox and Funny Astro on two different supports on the Batiste. Running the Zenyatta composition very well, and they look very robust. As we head back to Control, though, that's the map type that Paris led the series with, so we'll see if they can close it out.
And Control is always just historically, no matter which teams it is, can be very swingy. So we will go ahead and take a look at the map set as we get ready to jump in for this final map of the series. But what a way to start off the day already, Wolf. I mean, a 5-game set right at the top of it all. And then, of course, we do have, Houston-Boston coming up after this. So who knows how many maps you and I are casting today.
It's going to be a lot, I think. It's definitely going to be a lot. Dallas and Washington after that.
Yeah. We could have a record-breaking day of series here for us. But I'm fine with it. I'm up to task. I hope you are as well. And I hope that the audience is ready to just kind of hunker down. Hope you guys have your snacks there while we're all quarantined together and can just enjoy some nice, clean Overwatch. But here we go. See who is able to take this series at the end of it all. Oasis on University to kick us off for the final map.
That's right. Oasis is a map that I think varies about the least out of all the Control maps in terms of compositions you see. You kind of generally see the same one no matter what across all three. The exception kind of being the more open Farah City Center. But I mean, generally speaking, I think we're going to see a lot more Torb. Symmetra here again for Paris. They've been really liking this style, trying to teleport to the point, controlling it with that extra damage, playing a more death ball-y style. Whereas Philly's been favoring the Torbjorn. It looks like it is going to be a Torb. They just want to teleport to the point, get there faster.
Work their way forward. Already, though, fight breaking out. As a bunch of damage comes through, Immortality Field's going to be traded out on either side, but BenBest gets the better of Sato. So first lockdown will come through for Paris Eternal, you would expect. Point's still not unlocked, though, so this is one of the faster first fights that we've seen on Control lately. But now that it's unlocked, Sato rather, still trying to rejoin into the squad, so we'll just have to let that one go over. Thought maybe the Symmetra was still going to come through for Paris. This would have been a fine opportunity for it, having getting that first take, but all the same, in Control. Great fire strike. Is there Funny Astro actually going to be the one finding the kills rather than Sato? The setup with the Ant Matrix as well, so trying to replicate that magic that we saw many weeks ago from the Atlanta Rain. Nico will get rid of Fury, so a trade on some of these tanks, but soon coming out on top. Gets a headshot onto Carpe. It's a very even fight back and forth. The Paris Eternal are the ones who are profiting from this as they still maintain control and are still just generating percentage here on this point. Nico gets the Immortality Field to last a little bit longer, almost has that Mei ult online, but certainly wouldn't want to use it there. This is going to have to be a retreat, a reset for Paris. As Philly Fusion will just go ahead and be able to take over this point, but a decent build-up for the Paris Eternal. They'll get themselves just shy of 50%.
Yeah, 48's not terrible by any means. Soon actually lurking around, has a Molten Core he can lob in from this flank angle as the rest of the team commits with this speed boost coming through from FD God. Doesn't actually happen that way though, as Philadelphia Fusion retreat back.
A big 6 is there for Paris Eternal now. All the ultimates online. Philly Fusion just going to be operating with 4. Carpe can get there rather quickly though. The Molten Core comes out first from Soon, drops in that tower, that turret rather, but it's going to be taken down rather swiftly. Shatter from Sato, manages to find 2 around the back. They will be able to clean up a couple of those kills. And Paris, using 4 of those ultimates, they just don't get anything. So we'll now be operating at a loss, whereas Philly Fusion still holding on to 3. They have the Supercharger. They don't have that Blizzard. That is the one big differentiating factor that we have here for Paris, is Nico still holding on to that Blizzard right now. But will it be enough for them to break open the point and try to retake the lead? Fusion currently hovering 57%, so very much in the lead. And Victors comes out. That is just going to be rerouting Paris Eternal, so they don't really get to utilize this ultimate, but it does zone them back. And it buys them
a big Blizzard.
Very valuable time. Supercharger in, Molten Core going to be tossed down. Carpe trying to create a bit of a zone for Sato, but it's not good enough. They take him down at range with a couple headshots, and Carpe that's burning people alive. Then Best and Gray both going to be caught up in the lava. Get eliminated, and again, Philly Fusion will just go ahead and look to maintain control of this point. FD God doing his damnedest, but it's just not going to be enough.
Yeah, this is really, I mean, the thing is, there's just no way for Paris to contest this anymore. I mean, they just can't even really tag in. Hanbin's trying to flank.
Got to play out of their minds right now if they want to try to take this one. The Mei wall comes up, cutting off the tanks. Hanbin under a lot of fire, gets booped down into the pit below, so now has to reroute. Come back up the staircase to try to get in with the rest of his team. Sato keeping that shield raised, keeps his team protected. You can see the kills just start coming through again in favor of the Philadelphia Fusion. Soon and FD God both going to be picked off. Gray trying to stay alive, trying to keep his team sustained, but is just not good enough. Mortality Field was already killed off, and Nico, with a sliver of HP, is the only one left standing at the end of that fight. 148% and a sound barrier in celebration. Philadelphia Fusion kick off this final map with a victory on University, now just 1 round away from pulling off this reverse sweep.
The Symmetra pick that Paris is favoring right now, I mean, that choice they made works great in the short term, but in the long term and the longer ult scheme of things, when Molten Core is so important and Torbjorn can have a more consistent damage output over a larger range, not to mention his survivability being better, I feel like that's what's costing Paris Eternal in some of these control maps, these control rounds. They're going to stick with it again, at least looks like to the start of things. See if it's swapped to, actually going to be swapping to a McCree this time, interestingly enough. So soon going to be looking for the long range. If he can get onto that jump pad and get that high ground, he'll have a good opportunity. Gonna flank instead.
Trying to break down those shields. Takes a bit of damage there on that approach. Alarm, however, going to be eliminated, and Soon does manage to find 3. So far, so good on that McCree. Spamming away, gets pushed here onto the back, but gets a flashbang in. Carpe with no HP will get finished off by FD God here at the end, and Paris Eternal will be able to net themselves the first cap on the point. So 2 in a row. I have to look to Philly Fusion and see how they try to break this down. Carpe is moving away from the Torbjorn, will be matching soon with the McCree.
Yeah, the McCree swap here for Carpe is, I think, a really smart choice. Didn't build enough Molten Core to make it worthwhile to stay on the Torb. He needs to be able to both duel this McCree, but also try to get a little bit more shield break damage done at safe range. He's gonna flank though, because that's what Carpe does.
Yeah, moving around the back, nearly had gotten FD God, still almost takes him down. Here's that High Noon coming out soon, just pushing forward. They all have the shields raised. They're trying to break them down, but it's not going to be good enough. Doesn't lead to any kills here. Carpe does manage to find FD God, but now Ivy going to be eliminated as well. Benbest with a Fire Strike will get rid of Fury. It seems like Paris Eternal should be able to hold on to control of this point. Yep, with the final kills coming through here on Defiant and Sato. That will be it. So 50% accrued for them as they look to take us to a third and final round.
I think
they don't want it to end here. They want to finish this on Garden.
The understanding of Carpe picking this McCree, I think the decision to pick it, I was all with it until he flanked, right? Because that in that moment, if you kill FD God, sure, you might just win the point, but if you don't, you're just wasting time, and Soon is going to be breaking more shields, he's going to be doing more consistent damage, and in this comp, you can't really flank as successfully.
Nico waiting around the corner. They all going to be tossed in, tries to wall them off. He's going to be flashbanged and finish off. Carpe finding that kill. Alarm pushed up into the air, however, will get taken down, and at 83%, it's one fight territory. They might even have to swap to try and tag this point right now to a Wrecking Ball with just 10% left to go. Sato's still going to be here. Alarm's going over onto the Moira. They have the Deadeye out front to try to just make sure they can't even get over towards that point. Fury just now swaps over onto the Wrecking Ball. It just seems like this can't be done. They try to make their way over, and they just cannot tag in. They wanted Sato to stay on the Reinhardt because he had that Earth Shatter online. So Fury was the one going to Wrecking Ball, but there just wasn't enough time to make it to the points. And now one final round of Oasis on Garden will decide this series.
Well, I mean, the Wrecking Ball swap being late was a bit puzzling, but it would have been tough to make it back to the point either way. Again, Carpe's McCree swap didn't get the value they were looking for, and then they brute forced their way. The second time he came into the point, just with the rest of the squad, they brute forced their way into a Blizzard, and Benbest just follows up with Nico on those so extremely well. Looks like Soon wants to stick with the McCree. He's finding a lot more success than Carpe, and he's also sticking with the squad. He's playing with them, playing close, which makes flanks more difficult. Can set up for Benbest shatters if he plays this way as well. Just get into the other side of Sato's shield, drop that flashbang. So I'm liking the McCree here from Paris.
I like the wall there as well from Ivy, buying a lot of space for his squad, denying access from the DPS members of the Paris Eternal. Carpe, though, with the Widowmaker, is going to be going up to that center box window. Looking for some shots, and he's going to be able to find two quick picks. Thanks on FD God and Nico in a very swift fashion. Now it's just going to be the finish off, the cleanup here for Fusion as they lock down the point first and foremost. So solid start for them. Soon, does he stay on the McCree? Carpe's not staying on the Widow, so.
I mean, Carpe, if he stayed on the Widow, well, he might be. And he stayed on the Widow and was challenging sightlines again and just kind of continuing to rotate. I think staying with the McCree would be risky. We'll see where he decides to go. It looks like he's going to be on the high ground again. That's very annoying for Soon.
Yeah, Carpe now going to have that flanking goal. I think he might have been trying to force the swap and said, okay, you know what? If he swaps off, and I'll go to the McCree, and it's going to be reset time on both of our ult charge. Instead, Soon is just going to get picked off by a Fire Strike here at the start of this fight. Major damage going forward onto the Philly Fusion. The Immortality Field barely keeps them alive. Need to get topped up pretty quickly, but they still have that supporting fire coming through from Carpe, trying to suppress the enemies. And that will be the finish onto Gray, and another clean fight victory comes through.
I think you're completely right, by the way. I think he was hoping Soon was going to swap, and he was going to have the counter swap. Yeah, and now Soon does swap over to Tracer, but Carpe's going to swap knowing this is happening. This is what he was looking for before. Now he swaps over to Torbjorn. And Philly has total control right now. Paris Eternal don't even have the Blizzard yet. So far away from a sound barrier.
Soon instantly getting melted down. Oh, no. Carpe just around the corner. One quick pop. Soon gets stopped. Benbest going to fall as well. And this is just not looking great at all for the side of the Paris Eternal. Hanbin trying to stay alive. The Immortality Field's going to expire. Gets that whole drag back to try and buy himself just a little bit of space, alleviate a little bit of pressure, but Philly Fusion continue to just plus forward in towards them. And now they're at 85%. And they still hold on to a sound barrier. They have a Blizzard. It's just a supercharger and a sound barrier getting ready to come up for Paris Eternal.
Yeah, they've got high ground here for Philly. They've got this Blizzard for the choke. No way to initiate this fight. They need that sound barrier, but they don't have it in time.
They have the tag forward. Wall comes up. Benbest trying to stay alive. The Blizzard on the other entrance, and Benbest is the first one to fall. Fortify will buy Hanbin just a little bit of time, but the shatter comes down from Sato, knocks him to the ground, and looks to knock them out of this series. A reverse sweep coming through for the Philadelphia Fusion as they finish off Hanbin. The OT will bleed away. Was a close one on several of the maps throughout here, but Oasis was just very much in the hands of Philadelphia. Man, what a reverse sweep from the big botch on Hollywood to taking the series in the end.
I don't know if that went through on the stream. Carpe plugged his YouTube channel in chat.
I did not get to see that, but that is hilarious. Carpe has been one of the more vibrant and colorful people that we've had in the chat, telling Corey to sit after beating him down with the Torb Hammer just last week. But
well, I mean,
there you
that
go.
was a really
and
clean,
subscribe to Carpe.
That was a really clean series there at the end of things for Philadelphia Fusion. A far cry from what we saw from them at the beginning. Our player of the match here for this series is going to be Alarm, who actually I think had more consistent play than Carpe. Although Carpe at the very last two maps had some great moments. Alarm played great all series long. His Zenyatta Discord orbs were great. His Transcenses were intelligent. His positioning on all the heroes he played was really good. He consistently played throughout all 5 maps. And I think, you know, Carpe definitely a close second there, but Alarm really, really impressed, especially on the Zenyatta.
Yeah, super good. I mean, Alarm is just one of those pickups that had a lot of hype behind it when, you know, people were looking in the offseason of who to get before the announcements even come out. People are saying, oh, you got to get Alarm, you got to get Alarm. People are excited when Fusion picks him up, and it's one of those ones that doesn't fall flat. He actually lives up to the hype. He performs extremely well, both when he was, you know, on stage and now here in the online fashion. So really good to see that pick come through and be fully justified, you know, by all of the hype surrounding it, and a very well-earned player of the match for him. Fusion overall, really great perseverance coming through from them to actually be able to pull off that reverse sweep. So very solid stuff from them. Paris Eternal, they did play extremely well throughout the series, but just a couple mistakes here and there, getting outplayed from time to time does cost them in the end.
It was a close series that we were looking for, though. I mean, really, really nice plays on both sides. Really enjoyed watching FD God on the Lucio, the boops he set up, the really nice flanks he had, and also Nico, who capitalized on a lot of those. Ice walls were good. Ben Best. I mean, Paris looks really strong, even without Xe. Didn't see play in all 5 maps. It was the soon show this afternoon, but I have to say, Paris looked really good, and I don't really have doubts about their future going forward in their next few matches based on how they played against the Titans that are Philadelphia Fusion right now.
Yeah, well, that's Fusion, I believe, moving up to 7-1, so a very strong record for them at the top of the standings. But guys, we're just getting started. That was Series 1 of out of 3 that we have here today. Coming up next, it's the return. It's El Clasico 2.0. We've got Houston Outlaws going up against Boston Uprising. You do not want to miss it. I cannot wait. We'll be back in just a little bit with that series.